Take a moment to let your body rest where it is, the surface beneath you, holding you safely. Your breath moving at its own quiet pace, steady and soft, without effort or strain. The day is already set behind you, and there is nothing you need to do now, nothing that cannot wait until morning. With each inhale, feel a little more comfort gather in your chest, and with each exhale, allow the weight of your thoughts to drift further away. You are safe here, steady in this gentle space. Tonight's story will move slowly, like calm water reflecting a quiet lamp, giving your mind somewhere soothing to rest. The story is about a desert, one that does not bustle or call during the busy daylight, but instead waits until midnight to share the softest of whispers. In this quiet place, time moves gently, sand lies still under the night sky, and air cools enough to carry faint voices that sound almost like memory. Everything is steady tonight. As you hear about it, you will not need to think or remember, only to notice the gentle rhythm of words, like calm steps taken along a quiet path. Let your shoulders ease into stillness. Let your hands feel heavy in rest. And let your mind prepare for the kind of wandering that holds no effort. You are not expected to keep pace, only to let the story move around you, the way cool night air moves around desert stones. Allow your eyes to feel heavy, your breathing even, and your presence here, simple and safe. This is a time meant only for quiet. The desert is waiting with its midnight calm, and its whispers will arrive as softly as your dreams. As the night deepens, we turn more fully to the quiet desert that whispers only at midnight, a place shaped by time, sand, and stillness, yet softened in the way it presents itself under starlight. During the day, a desert can seem vast and bright, filled with heat that shimmers in waves, the air heavy with sunlight, and the sand warm under every step. But at night, the same desert becomes something else, a gentler companion, cooler, quieter, touched only by pale silver light. In the hours before midnight, shadows lengthen, and the wide open land prepares for the softer side of itself. The sound of breezes carrying across the dunes, the silence of distance itself becoming part of the landscape. When midnight arrives, the desert has already settled into its most tranquil rhythm, with no urgency, no demand, only the still presence of earth and air, sky and sand, gathered under a quiet dome of stars. The air at this time can feel like cool water brushed against the skin, the sand beneath holding a faint warmth left behind from the day, a balance of temperatures that makes the body feel grounded, supported, held. Everything is steady tonight. The faint sound of wind through sparse plants might be mistaken for a voice, so gentle that it seems the desert is speaking. But it is not a call or a message, only the softest murmur of nature at rest. Even the stars above appear different in this moment, brighter for the darkness around them, constant in their patterns, steady companions to the quiet ground below. A traveler resting on the sand at this hour might hear nothing at all for long stretches of time, and then suddenly notice a whisper of air moving past the ear. A single note in the silence, gone as soon as it arrives, leaving behind not absence, but deeper calm. This rhythm of quiet and softer quiet is part of the desert's midnight character, a natural pattern that allows the mind to drift, much like waves lapping against a distant shore, never rushing, always patient. Everything is steady tonight. In the desert at midnight, light does not flood, but only touches, a faint glow from the moon tracing along the edges of the dunes. Silver outlines that change as the wind shifts the sand grain by grain. Shadows are long and soft, without sharpness, blending into one another until the horizon itself feels like part of the sky. The air carries scents that are faint and subtle. Perhaps the earthy trace of cooled stone. Perhaps the sweet note of a plant that blooms only at night, all softened by distance and time. The desert, at this hour, invites rest, not by asking for attention, but by offering stillness, allowing anyone who lingers there to notice only what settles the mind. The whispers that belong to midnight are not words to remember, not messages to interpret, but sounds that remind the body to breathe evenly, the heart to slow, the thoughts to drift into open space. As you listen to this story, imagine the cool sand beneath you, the wide horizon above you, the soft weight of the night surrounding you like a blanket, and let yourself move deeper into calm. The desert that whispers only at midnight is a place that invites you to slow your thoughts, to notice how the world feels when time stretches wide and patient, to let your mind wander without effort, and to rest in the rhythm of repetition. The desert itself is shaped by silence, yet this silence is never empty, for even when no sound is heard, the body senses the coolness of the air, the steadiness of the ground, the openness of the sky, and the gentle flow of unseen breezes. Imagine standing at the edge of a dune, the sand beneath your feet slightly yielding yet firm enough to hold, the grains fine and cool, sliding softly when you shift your weight, carrying no resistance, only ease. Above you, stars scatter across the sky like tiny lamps glowing from a great distance, steady and unchanging, their light taking its time to arrive, reminding you that everything in nature moves at its own calm pace. Everything is steady tonight. As you linger, a faint sound brushes past your ear, not a voice in words, but a suggestion of one. The desert wind carrying across the open land, lowering itself to a whisper so soft you wonder if it was only your own breath. In this place, stillness has texture, a layering of sensations that unfold slowly, like fabric resting against fabric, or waves moving across water, so calm they leave behind no splash, only a long curve that smooths into the horizon. The desert at midnight does not need to speak loudly, for its power lies in gentleness, in the smallest shifts that continue over hours, days, and centuries, reminding us that patience itself is a form of communication. As you listen to this story, imagine walking along the crest of a dune, your steps leaving small impressions that the wind begins to erase almost immediately, your footprints becoming part of the desert's memory, absorbed into its steady rhythm. The air feels cooler now, a quiet balance against the faint warmth rising from the sand, a reminder that even in stillness there is harmony, one presence supporting the other. Nothing hurried, nothing urgent. Everything is steady tonight. The whispers of the desert are not meant to direct you anywhere, but to let you remain where you are, content in noticing the soft patterns of the night, the way the horizon stretches without end, the way the stars above seem to lean closer when the land below is so open. With each passing moment, the desert repeats its gentle language, again and again, as if to say that quiet is enough, that being held in the arms of the midnight air is enough, that listening to the smallest of whispers is enough. In this rhythm, you can rest. Imagine sitting against a smooth stone, its surface cooled by the night, your back supported, your body at ease, your gaze lifted only slightly toward the sky. The silence deepens until you begin to hear subtle sounds you did not notice before. The soft rustle of a plant adjusting in the breeze, the delicate tap of a shifting grain of sand against another, the faint hum of air moving through an unseen crevice. Each sound arrives like a breath, stays for a heartbeat, and then passes, leaving space behind for the next. Everything is steady tonight. In this cycle, the desert continues its whispers, never rushed, never pressing, always returning to the same quiet song, a melody of patience, a rhythm of calm, a place where your mind can wander without boundaries and your body can rest without effort. In the desert that whispers only at midnight, a second layer of stillness opens when you listen more carefully. As if beneath the first quiet, there is another, softer quiet, waiting to be noticed. At first, it seems like silence alone, but as you breathe in and let your body sink into ease, subtle differences reveal themselves. The hush of air across dunes, the gentle curve of sound as it moves past sparse plants, the distant settling of sand grains as they shift into new shapes. This is the way the desert speaks, not with urgency, but with patience, repeating the same calm notes again and again until they become a kind of lullaby. Everything is steady tonight. You may picture a wide dune rolling like a frozen wave, its ridge pale silver under moonlight, its shadow long and deep, stretching across open land. As you gaze, you notice how the line between sand and sky is never sharp, but always blending, horizon folding into horizon, soft against soft. The desert does not separate itself from the night sky. Instead, they share their presence, earth and sky resting together. This unity is part of what makes the midnight desert feel so endless, a place where edges disappear and all that remains is calm. Imagine now a traveler resting on the sand, their pack set aside, their body leaning back, eyes half closed, breathing even. Around them, the air is cool and light, like cloth draped gently across the shoulders, not heavy, not cold, but balanced. In such moments, the desert offers comfort, not through shelter or walls, but through openness, the vastness itself becoming protection, the still air becoming reassurance. Everything is steady tonight. To understand the desert more deeply, think of its slow changes. Wind shapes the dunes grain by grain, always moving, never rushing. The same way a thought may drift in your mind and then slowly fade, leaving only calm. Over time, these small motions form wide ridges, long slopes, gentle valleys, each the result of patience and softness. The desert teaches through this rhythm, showing that quiet repetition creates beauty, that the most enduring forms are shaped without force. If you were to listen long enough, you might notice that the whispers at midnight do not stay the same, yet they never grow loud. One moment, it is a faint sigh of air across the sand. Another moment, it is the delicate flutter of a night-blooming flower opening its petals to the coolness. Another, it is the almost inaudible hum of an insect moving in the dark. Each sound is part of a sequence, 5 in total tonight. The sigh of the wind, the flutter of petals, the settling of sand, the hum of a night creature, and the distant echo of your own breath. Together, they create a circle of sound that begins and ends in silence. Everything is steady tonight. These layers of experience build upon one another, each one adding softness without weight, clarity without pressure, rest without demand. To hear the desert is to hear repetition. To feel it is to feel balance. To remain with it is to let your own rhythm join with its rhythm. Each whisper is a reminder that time can stretch, that presence is enough, that stillness itself is a gift. And so the desert speaks again, in quiet tones, through silver light, through moving air, through the hush of distance, until your thoughts become lighter than sand, drifting across the midnight expanse, ready to settle into rest. As the night lingers in the desert that whispers only at midnight, the rhythm of calm becomes even slower. Each breath of air across the dunes moving with patience, each shift of sand settling as if time itself is resting. You may imagine yourself lying upon the cool surface of the desert floor, the grains beneath you supporting your weight with quiet resilience, the night above so wide that it feels like an endless ceiling of dark silk scattered with faint silver light. The stillness here is never empty. It carries a fullness that comes from balance, from air and earth and sky meeting in the most unhurried way. Everything is steady tonight. Each moment feels like a repetition of the last, yet slightly softer, slightly gentler, as though the desert itself has chosen to cradle you with its silence. Imagine now the cool breeze passing over your face, lifting strands of thought the way wind lifts loose grains of sand, carrying them away. Allowing your mind to grow lighter, clearer, quieter, the horizon stretches without end, but instead of being vast and overwhelming, feels like an embrace, the openness itself becoming a kind of shelter, the distance itself becoming comfort. As you listen longer, the whispers begin to repeat in patterns, familiar and reassuring, like the quiet ticking of a clock that marks not urgency, but steadiness, reminding you that time flows without demand. Everything is steady tonight. With each cycle of whisper, the desert folds you deeper into its embrace, until the sounds themselves dissolve into stillness, until the air itself becomes the soft voice of calm. The desert does not ask you to move, or to think, or to hold. It simply allows you to be, to remain, to rest. Here, under the silver light, you are safe, you are steady, you are quiet. Everything is steady tonight. Let the story close like the horizon at dusk, wide and gentle, fading into the edges of dream. Good night.